What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your least favorite YouTuber here, back at it again to drop What If Naruto Was an Uchiha Part 2. Now, I know it's been a little bit of time ever since I dropped Part 1, and the reason for that is simply because of the fact that, well, my channel, kind of got hacked, and ended up losing access to it for a couple of days. Not only that, but when I originally dropped it, I ended up doing a couple of other series beforehand, and I honestly didn't really pay attention too much to the series. But after revisiting it and listening back to the part, as well as writing a new script for Part 2, I ended up coming up with so many more ideas for the series that I feel like the love for the What If Naruto Was an Uchiha series was fleshed out even more. And now, with that said, I can probably finish this series off in the next like 3 more parts, actually 2 more parts after this. 2 parts after this, and the series will most likely be wraps. After that, I'll be dropping a What If Naruto Was an Uchiha the movie, and you guys will be able to watch it in a compilation style. That being said though, guys, in case you guys haven't checked out my links in the description, down there you guys will find a link to my second channel down below, where I will be dropping anime and manga reviews for random animes that I really like. And you guys can find my Discord server as well as a sponsor of today's video, seeing as it is a sponsored one. But with that being said, let's get right into the what if.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Alright, so before I actually pick off the story, there is one thing that I do have to say. Number one, the last part of the What If Naruto Was an Uchiha had a couple of elements that I felt were forgotten and that I didn't mention. So I'm going to be mentioning them now and kind of redoing the little ending where Itachi basically ended up, putting Naruto on a t-shirt, or so he thought, by, cutting open the man's chest. And so we're kind of going to be going into detail on that a little bit more. That being said, here is where we're going to be starting. So obviously, like I had stated on the last part, Naruto and Sasuke were both pretty much heading home. And when they were heading home, they ended up essentially walking into the Uchiha compound when they noticed the smell of blood. Immediately, Naruto basically used the body flicker jutsu to immediately arrive to his house, or the same house that Sasuke lives in, where he would essentially see Itachi standing over both of his adoptive parents. Now, Naruto, being in this situation, would immediately start hyperventilating, just literally looking at Itachi, as Naruto's just like, Itachi, we have to find who did this, as he would look at the sword in Itachi's hand and immediately he would realize what happened. His Sharingan would activate as Naruto would kind of just stand there in fear. He looked at Itachi as a big brother figure, kind of like a father. That's what Itachi was to him. Naruto aspired to be like Itachi. He changed his hair for Itachi. He even started dressing like him, and come to find out that he's the one person who ended up destroying his family, taking it away from him. Naruto would yell as he would say, "How dare you! Those were my parents!" He would rush at Itachi with the kunai, as Itachi would smirk and say, "Those were never your parents. I've always hated you." As Naruto's eyes would immediately turn to that of the Mangekyo Sharingan, as they would begin bleeding, and Itachi would slash at Naruto's chest. Immediately he would realize that, Naruto's eyes turned to that of a Mangekyo. And many of you guys might be wondering, yo, when did Naruto get the Sharingan? Well, I said that Naruto was very skilled, and he's at around Itachi's level. So with that said, he ended up actually having the Sharingan. I'm not sure if I actually mentioned that on the previous part, but even if I didn't, I'm at least mentioning it now. That being said though, guys, we're going to essentially just keep on going with that notion. So obviously Naruto would fall down onto the ground, and this is when Sasuke would rush on in there about 2 minutes later, just being like, "Big brother Itachi, we have to find whoever," as he would see Naruto on the ground, and a sort of smile would appear on his face as he would just look at that and then be like, "Naruto." He would kind of just be like, we were finally starting to know each other. But another part of him would be so glad at the fact that Naruto was gone, but he would look at his family as he would realize that he lost everything. Sasuke would look at Itachi as he would be like, "Big brother, we have to try to save them." As Itachi would look at Sasuke, and basically that entire scene would play out, where he would cause Sasuke to see his parents' death over and over and over, and he would end up actually unlocking the Sharingan. Because of the fact that this version Sasuke is a little bit stronger than the original, I think that maybe he will be able to unlock it. However, not be able to access it once again until like he really needs it. So he unlocks it on this day, but isn't able to access it for the next couple of years. And since it's about 1.5 years into the time that they've been into the academy, he's probably going to learn how to gain access to the One Tomoe by the end of the academy. That being said though, Naruto would essentially be found by, the Hokage and the Anbu and all that stuff a couple of, minutes later after the Uchiha massacre. Itachi would report back to Hiruzen, who never ended up telling him to spare Naruto because the man is dumb and he forgot. And so when Itachi arrives there, he basically tells him that everybody was wiped out. Hiruzen immediately blitzes over there trying to see if Naruto can be found, which he does. Naruto luckily survived because of the Nine Tails' chakra, who was pumping out as much as he possibly could into Naruto for Naruto to be able to survive. That being said, Naruto would basically be taken to the hospital, where Naruto would essentially be clinging on to life with the help of a bunch of medical ninjas and the assistance of Kurama's chakra. Naruto would be passed out for the following week as the trauma would just be going on in his head, and his body would heal after about 4 days, but the mental trauma is just too much. And when Naruto finally wakes up, Hiruzen would be by his bedside, seeing as he just came to check up on him. Naruto would open his eyes as they would be bleeding, and Hiruzen would see the eyes, the Mangekyo Sharingan. Hiruzen seeing this would immediately just be like, Naruto, you. As Naruto would look at, like legit just hold his hand over one of his eyes as he's like, was it real? And Hiruzen would look at Naruto as he would say, it was Naruto. Naruto would look at Hiruzen as he would say, we have to stop him. Itachi has to be killed for what he did to my family. As Hiruzen would tell Naruto that Itachi's gone, he fled the village as a rogue ninja as of a week ago. And Naruto would slam his hand on the bend as he would basically just be like, I trusted him. I did everything for him. I trained for him. I thought for a second that I was like a brother to him, but I guess I was nothing. He always hated me. Naruto would immediately grab a kunai by his bedside as he would cut his hair off and look at Hiruzen, as Hiruzen would just look at Naruto, and immediately Hiruzen would basically just look at him as he would tell him that Mangekyo Sharingan has to be trained. As essentially Hiruzen would end up asking Kakashi to be Naruto's sensei, meaning that Naruto's going to be meeting Kakashi way earlier than he does in canon, meaning that Naruto now is 100% going to be on Team 7. Before, he wasn't sure whether Naruto should be put on that or another team, but seeing this, he definitely needs to be put on Team 7. That being said, Kakashi would arrive in there about like 20 minutes later, seeing as he was in the village, and seeing Naruto sitting there, he would just be thinking about how this is Minato's son, and how he already has the Mangekyo, something that not even his master was able to get during his lifetime. And we basically just have Naruto looking at Kakashi as Hiruzen would explain to Kakashi that he wants him to train Naruto in how to use the Sharingan, or more specifically the Mangekyo Sharingan. Kakashi would immediately look at Naruto as he would say, so Naruto, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Maybe your name, your likes, your dislikes. Naruto would look down as he would say, my likes are relaxing, eating ramen. My dislikes are Itachi. As Kakashi hearing that name would immediately just think back to his days in the Anbu with Itachi. And he would just see this look of like, Naruto wants to kill Itachi in his eyes. As Naruto would just look at Kakashi and say, when do we start training? And Kakashi would look at Naruto as he would simply just say tomorrow, after your body rests a little longer. And so Naruto would look at Kakashi as he would say, alright. And he would basically force himself out of bed as he would essentially end up going to the Uchiha compound, to which at this point Sasuke is actually at the academy, just in there at this certain time, and Naruto would essentially end up arriving to his house as he would grab all of his things and end up taking them away from there. He would grab all of his essential things, seeing as he's going to be going on a little bit of a training thing. Not only that, but Kakashi ended up essentially deciding that, he was kind of going to be training Naruto at his crib. So Naruto would end up actually moving out of the Uchiha compound that same day to where Kakashi stays at. Kakashi would give him an extra room that he has in the house that he used for training before, and he would essentially just tell Naruto to make himself at home. Naruto would put all of his stuff down, as for the remainder of the time that Naruto and Sasuke would have been in the academy, Naruto would essentially use this entire time to be training with Kakashi on how to master his Mangekyo Sharingan. And since Naruto's actually going to be training on using it, that means Kakashi will as well. Meaning that by the end of all that time, Naruto will actually have access to the Susanoo. And his vision with the Mangekyo Sharingan would be like half gone because of the simple fact that, well, no Sharingan, so it's like, he tries not to use the Mangekyo as often as like he possibly can, and the only training that he's really done with it is learning how to use the Susanoo. Now, one thing that I am going to be asking you guys is, what ability do you guys think that Naruto should have for his Mangekyo Sharingan? Please go down below in the comments right now, and basically just let me know what ideas you guys have, as well as smash the like goal of the video, which I will be telling you guys right now. The like goal for today's video is going to be 1,000 likes. As soon as you guys smash 1,000 likes, I'm gonna be dropping part 2 of part 3, of What If Naruto was an Uchiha with the rest of the series. No, not the rest of the series, but another big chunk of the series. That being said, for the remainder of the time at the academy, Naruto would essentially just be going on missions with Kakashi and kind of train with him with his Mangekyo, meaning that Kakashi would also be doing some training with his Mangekyo as well, and he would also learn how to use Kamui a bit, with himself even getting stronger because of the fact that he has Naruto there, who's already a pretty good prodigy in and of itself, who's helping Kakashi push himself even further. That being said, Naruto even learns the secret of the clone jutsu way sooner than in canon, so his training is sped up exponentially. He even ends up learning the Chidori. Sorry guys, I had to go, my dad was calling me, but I'm back, and like I said, Naruto ends up essentially learning the Chidori. That being said, his training was exponentially sped up, like a lot, and Naruto gets even stronger than what he already was. Let's say Naruto was at around like Itachi level almost by the time that he was like kid Itachi level, so not Itachi when he massacred the village level, but he was about half of that. And even that is extremely impressive because Sasuke was very, very weak. He's probably even stronger than the Sasuke that attempted to defeat Itachi when he just screamed at him and said, "You die, Itachi!" When Itachi grabbed them and told him that his hatred still wasn't strong enough and all that stuff. So yeah, Naruto definitely very, very powerful. That being said, as I said, Naruto would end up going on missions with Kakashi as well as training him for a year and a half, and during that time, he and Kakashi would actually end up getting a little bit close, leading Kakashi to actually adopt Naruto, essentially causing Sasuke to never actually end up seeing Naruto, thinking that Naruto truly died that day. A bunch of the Uchiha bodies were buried, and Sasuke never blatantly saw Naruto's tombstone, but he just kind of assumed that he was dead as well. And Sasuke by this point has already kind of gotten over all that stuff. He still has that hatred for Itachi, and he swears that someday he's gonna avenge his clan and kill everybody. Not only that, but Sasuke has like a sort of thing where he wants to get stronger than Naruto was before. So Sasuke trains even harder than he would before because of the fact that he felt like he wasn't enough whenever he stood next to Naruto, and that's a feeling that Sasuke never wanted to feel again, no matter what, because when Naruto was in the academy, he always overshadowed him, but now that Naruto's gone, it's as if Sasuke's now back to being the top dog and everybody likes him now. So Sasuke's a little happier than our normal canon's emo Sasuke is, thinking that now he has everything to himself. And Naruto actually ended up changing his haircut to something different, where his hair is way different than, the Itachi Naruto on the thumbnail. That was just for like part 1 because of the fact that, he loved Itachi, but after what happened, obviously you're not going to love someone who try to kill you. So he changes his haircut and stops trying to dress like Itachi. Instead, he gets a haircut that like suits himself a little bit more. And I'm gonna kind of try to look for an image of what haircut that would be, as well as Kakashi would essentially, as well as he would dress something like Itachi, way different than what he used to dress like, where he used to wear like the Ambu outfit looking thing. Now he dresses a lot different. because he realized he doesn't want to be like the person who tried killing him. That being said, after all this time, the time would finally come when Naruto would essentially have to see Sasuke once again. Once the graduation day comes, Sasuke would of course end up passing, and Iruka would end up giving out the exams, which Sasuke, of course, being a prodigy or whatever, ends up acing. That being said, the Mizuki stuff does end up happening. However, I'm just going to be saying that some other ninja was able to see Mizuki and ended up stopping him. That being said, Naruto basically ended up, Naruto ended up essentially just being next to Kakashi, as the next day is when they're all going to be meeting their Jonin senseis. Now, Naruto being around Kakashi for so long kind of got into the habit of being late to things with Kakashi. So when they ended up having to meet them, they ended up being about 3 hours late to finally meet Team 7. Sasuke would be in there with Sakura, kind of just like thinking of how he's going to get stronger once again, how he's going to make himself better than he was yesterday. And Sakura would be right next to him like, Sasuke! Oh my Sasuke, just looking at him like, I can't believe we're on the same team and it's just us two. It's gonna be great. As Ino was jealous of that because she gets to be around Sasuke all the time. But it's like, what are you gonna do? And they were thinking it was just gonna be a two-man team, but Iruka, but this one out of nowhere, Kakashi would walk into the door, as we would then see a Naruto come right behind him. As Sasuke, the second that his eyes lock onto those blue eyes that Naruto has, would immediately be like, what are you doing here? As Naruto would look at Sasuke and have a smile on his face, thinking that he's finally going to get to see Sasuke again. But the reaction that Sasuke gave him was something Naruto didn't expect. Sasuke would get a little enraged and say that he's even stronger than Naruto ever was now. And Naruto would just look at Sasuke thinking, what are you talking about? You finally see me after a year and a half and this is the reaction I get? Kind of expected a little bit more considering we're brothers and all. But which Sasuke would look at Naruto and say, we're not brothers. We never were. You always overshadowed me, but not anymore, Naruto. I trained even harder than you did, and I promise you, now I'm even stronger than I ever was before. As Sasuke would get enraged, and he would look at Naruto as he would activate his Sharingan with the one Tomoe on, and Kakashi would just look at Sasuke as he's like, okay, as he would tell Team 7 and basically meet him on the roof. This is when he would tell them to basically give out their little stories about what they want to do. Sasuke would say his goal is to kill Itachi and destroy a certain someone, and Sakura would say I want to be a good wife, just normal Sakura stuff. But this is when Naruto would essentially just be looking at Sasuke but looking down at the same time, because he feels as if Sasuke doesn't like him. Now Naruto obviously still hasn't had it go through his head still that Sasuke hates him or is jealous of him, because he never saw it that way. But he would kind of just be looking down as Sasuke would leave begrudgingly, going to the Uchiha compound, going to where Naruto used to live at and destroying the room with a fireball jutsu. That being said, the very next day they would end up meeting at the tree, where Naruto and Kakashi would arrive very, very late, and Naruto would end up just standing right in front of Kakashi, as Sasuke would walk up to Naruto and he would say, let's fight, Naruto, as Naruto would look at Sasuke and just be like, I mean, right now, as Sasuke would end up throwing a kick, but before Naruto even put his guard up, Kakashi would grab Sasuke's leg as he would block it with his forearm and be like, well, if you want to fight Naruto so bad, I guess we can have some changes to the team. Originally, I was going to have Naruto be with you guys trying to take these bells, but since you want to fight him so bad, how about here's the new test. Both of you have to fight against Naruto and steal one bell. Whoever fails is going to be returning back to the academy. Sasuke, hearing this, would immediately not even listen to them say start, as he would rush at Naruto and he would basically begin to throw a bunch of kicks, to which Naruto would simply do a bunch of backflips to avoid. Now Sasuke would basically look at him as he would say, stop running away, you coward, as he would shoot a fireball jutsu right at Naruto's direction. But Naruto would create a shadow clone as he would grab himself by the arms and throw himself into the air. Sasuke, seeing this, would get angry, but he would jump up into the air, so he would say now, as Naruto's shadow clone was actually able to use the substitution jutsu and appear behind Sasuke, as he would basically kick him away right in his back, causing Sasuke to go forward and fall to the ground. Sakura would just see this and be like, hey, she would run up to Naruto and go to try to throw a punch, but Naruto would grab it with one hand and begin to crush her fist. As Sakura would fall down onto one knee, Sasuke, seeing this, would rush at the the Naruto, which was in the air, and say, "You're not doing this again," as he would throw a Phoenix Fire style jutsu right at Naruto. But Naruto would create hand signs for water style, and he would shoot it right at Sasuke's, little fire phoenix jutsu, as it would basically cancel it out. And Naruto would then look at Sasuke as he would take out a sword that he has on his back, which he was actually gifted by Shisui, as he would then begin to rush at Sasuke. And seeing that sword that Sasuke has seen so many times by Shisui would enrage him, as he would activate his Sharingan, and Naruto would do that as well. His 3 Tomoes would stare right at Sasuke's 2 and 1, as he basically rushes at Sasuke, and Sasuke just has that feeling of being like completely at a loss when it comes to fighting Naruto. The way that he sees him is that Naruto is standing on this gigantic mountain that he will never be able to climb, and he's just so far ahead of himself that Sasuke will never be able to reach a level that high. And so Sasuke rushes at him and gets angry, and he's like, "Die!" as he just throws like a kunais at him, and Naruto would jump over them, as he would basically body flicker behind him and tap Sasuke's head with the handle of the sword, causing Sasuke to get knocked out. This is when Sasuke would wake up a couple of minutes later, as both he and Sakura would be tied to the tree stump. Now Naruto, being who he is, would have asked Kakashi for them to have one more chance, and through this he would basically end up giving them a second chance. However, this time Naruto would give them the hint that they kind of need to work together. Sasuke would look at Naruto with an angry expression, as he would look down and be kind of sad at the same time, not saying a word to Naruto, just feeling like completely useless in the face of Naruto, as he would not say a word. And he would finally look at Sakura, as he would say, "The next time we do this, we're gonna use teamwork," as they would proceed to try to take the bells from Naruto, but not be able to. However, they would use teamwork, and Kakashi, seeing this, would end up passing them, not knowing that Naruto actually gave them the hint to pass, because had he not done that, Sasuke would have continued to be selfish and they would have lost. And so they end up going on annoying missions for about 1 week, with Naruto kind of not talking to Sasuke, and Kakashi noticing that there's some tension. He would ask Naruto what the problem is, as Naruto would just look at him and say, I don't know. Ever since we were kids, Sasuke never liked me. I never understood it. I always looked at him like a brother, but Sasuke just never acknowledged me. No matter what I did, how strong I got, he never praised me once, and although I always was there to tell him that he did a good job, that he was great, that he was amazing, and reminding others of how great he was never there for me. What about me?" As Kakashi would look at him and say, "I don't think Sasuke necessarily dislikes you, but time will tell." As obviously they would continue going on missions, to which Naruto would say that this is a waste of time, and he would end up basically asking for a stronger mission, to which they would be giving a Scene Rank mission, and it would of course be the Land of the Waves mission. That being said, this is when they would end up meeting Tazuna, who would walk into the room in a very drunken state, just being like, "Oh, what's going on? Like, this is the team you expect to defend me?" And they would kind of just look at Tazuna, as they're just like, "This guy is clearly drunk." Hiruzen would have Anbu members take him out of the room, as Naruto and everybody in the team would just meet up at the village gate the next day. This is when they would continue their travels, as about 30 minutes into it, they would notice a puddle on the ground. Naruto, immediately noticing this, would break the genjutsu, as he would rush at the demon brothers, who would be taken out very, very easily. They would pretty much be interrogated, and afterwards Naruto would grab his sword, as he would slash at both of the brothers' throats, and he would then seal them inside of scrolls, to which Sakura and Sasuke would see this and immediately just be like, "He's on another level." Like, Sasuke, seeing this, would realize that Naruto's killed already. Who knows how many people he's killed. And Naruto would turn towards Sasuke, as he would say, "Let's go." He would just say that, as they would continue walking, and about 2 hours into it, Naruto would throw a kunai at a white rabbit. As he would see what he did, Sasuke would laugh at Naruto, saying that like he really got on guard for just a rabbit, as Kakashi would put his hand up and then say, "Wait." And this is when he would hear something, as Kakashi would say, "Everybody down!" Naruto would duck Sasuke would do as well, and Sakura would, as Zabuza would appear on the blade. And immediately, Kakashi would look at Naruto as he would say, let's go. He would immediately reveal his 3 Tomoe Sharingan, as Naruto would as well, and they would rush at Zabuza. And Zabuza would immediately see 2 ninjas coming at him. He would create a clone jutsu to pretty much try to handle Naruto, but Naruto would kick the clone, as he would then throw a kunai straight at Zabuza's clone's eye, causing it to pop. As Naruto would then rush at Zabuza, who was completely getting pressed by Kakashi at this point, who was on the defensive. Naruto would create a couple of hand signs as he would say Chidori, as a lightning blade would appear on his hand, and from out of nowhere some senbon would be thrown right in front of Naruto, causing Naruto not to stab the Chidori, and then turn towards Haku, who ended up rushing in there and, you know, basically aiding Zabuza with the fight. As he would immediately begin to rush at Naruto, seeing this would just be like, what? As, you know, obviously he ends up basically jumping back, and Haku would immediately basically create the Crystal Ice Mirror Jutsu. Haku creating this would then begin to throw a bunch of senbon at Naruto, to which Naruto would be able to dodge a good majority of them, but 1 out of 100 always hits him. Naruto would get pretty angry at this, as he would decide that he needs to bust out that, as Naruto would awaken his Mangekyo Sharingan, and Sasuke wouldn't be able to notice this because he's just simply on the sidelines, you know, trying to defend Tazuna. But this is when what color should Naruto's Susanoo be? Let's see. I don't know, guys. Comment that down below in the comments. What color should Naruto's Susanoo be? Actually, no, I don't want it to be purple, because that's the color that, no, his is. Let's see. What color should it be? Let's go with I honestly can't think of a cool color for Naruto's Susanoo. So you guys please comment it down below what color you guys want it to be. Naruto Susanoo would basically bust out, as it would be the one with the rib cage, or no, not the rib cage, but the stage 2 stages after that. As Naruto would basically create a sword with the Susanoo stuff, and he would cut the ice crystal mirrors, causing Haku to get busted out of them. Immediately, Naruto would create the hand signs for a shadow clone, as a bunch of shadow clones would begin to rush at Haku. Now Haku would slowly start getting overwhelmed, as Naruto would use a headhunter's jutsu, causing Haku to get everything except for his head into the ground, as Naruto would then basically create a Chidori, as he would begin to rush at him and drag the Chidori in the ground as he does this, as he would cut Haku's head right off, and Haku's head would just like roll, as we would then basically see Zabuza get pretty angry at this. He would say, my tool. He would rush at Kakashi, but Kakashi would immediately say checkmate, as he would create a water dragon jutsu, which would completely engulf Zabuza, knocking him out, to which afterwards Naruto would walk over to Zabuza, and before Kakashi got to say anything, he would stab his blade right into Zabuza's skull, as he would remove it and then say, let's continue with the mission. Now Kakashi, seeing this, would see a look of anger in Naruto's eyes, and he would question what happened. Naruto would just say that he's having some troubles that only he can deal with, as Kakashi wouldn't press anymore, seeing as, he understands that Naruto will eventually talk to him, but if he tries to push Naruto, then he's not going to be getting anywhere with him. He's a kid, even though Naruto is powerful, he's still just like 12 years old, 13, you know what I mean? So it's not like you're going to get all the answers in the world from him. And so they would essentially go on to continue the Land of Waves mission, to which Naruto would basically be in charge of trying to show Sakura how to get stronger as a ninja, seeing as Sasuke didn't want to comply at all to anything that Naruto tried to teach him, because he just had so much hatred and jealousy for him. So Kakashi ended up having to teach him how to water walk, tree walk, and all that basic stuff. When it comes to Sakura, she ended up learning that stuff very easily and ended up getting pretty good at taijutsu prowess, as well as some genjutsu, seeing as Naruto ended up teaching her some of that. That being said, though, we would essentially have them finish up the bridge, and by the time that they do, Gato's men would finally arrive. This is when essentially Gato's men would basically end up saying that, this bridge cannot be finished, as, they would try to destroy it. However, as they do that, Sasuke, seeing this, would say that Naruto's not going to get all the credit, as he would rush at Gato's men and be absolutely ruthless. After he kills the first person, he finally gets used to that feeling, and he would rush at the rest of them, as he would just take out all his anger to Naruto on all of these men, obliterating everybody except for Gato, because Gato's death would have been prevented by Naruto, who blocked it with his sword, and he would grab Gato as he would give him to the villagers for them to do whatever they wanted to do to Gato. After this, Sasuke would simply just go, huh, as Naruto would just be like, that was a little reckless, but you know, you did the job. As all of them would of course just be given their thanks, and they would end up returning back to the Leaf Village. This is where Naruto would basically just end up bumping into, you know, Konohamaru. Konohamaru would end up basically not really knowing Naruto, and so the interaction with the Sand Village would not happen because Konohamaru wouldn't run away from Naruto. And so we would basically just have them all be told by Kakashi about the Chunin exams, saying that Naruto's actually not going to be participating, so if they're ready, then they can take it with both of them on the team just themselves. Naruto would be explained that he's already a Chunin because of the fact that, you know, Hiruzen already felt that he was more than powerful, and truth be told, Naruto is at least high Jonin level when it comes to his strength. Sasuke and Sakura hearing this would immediately be told that sure they want to, as you know, they would end up getting ambushed by those little Chunin instructors who end up pretty much testing to see whether they're truly ready for the Chunin exams, and so we would basically just have them go to the Chunin exams location where the Genjutsu would be placed, and Sasuke and Sakura would both be able to dispel it. Shortly after, Rock Lee would appear challenging Sasuke, leading to almost the same encounter as in canon, except Naruto isn't there to basically say how, what about me, you know what I mean? Naruto isn't going to be there. So Sasuke would end up actually getting whooped by Rock Lee, and Rock Lee would kind of just think that, you know, Sasuke definitely was pretty powerful, but he could have had way more to offer. However, Rock Lee did have to take his weights off just to be able to whoop him comfortably, and he basically was stopped by Might Guy during the battle. And so Sasuke getting defeated by not only Naruto every time that he's ever tried to face him, but also, you know, Lee would kind of just get angry, like super angry. As at this point, Sasuke would kind of just be bloodthirsty for power. Like, he wants power so bad, not only to defeat Itachi, but he almost wants it just as bad to kill Naruto, or to at least put him in his place, thinking that he's the true blood son of Fugaku, he's the real brother of Itachi. You know, if anybody's gonna kill Itachi, it's gonna be him. And Naruto would kind of just be with Kakashi, just kind of chilling, not really thinking about what Sasuke gonna be doing during these exams. But oof, he should have been, because during the exams, they would of course take the written part, and Sasuke would use the Sharingan to essentially copy people's pencil movements. And so Sakura would end up passing because she actually knows what she's doing. However, when it comes to once they have to go into the forest, all the Anko stuff would end up going just like it does in canon. However, the only real change that's going to be happening is that once they end up getting into the forest, when they get approached by Orochimaru, this encounter would go way different than it does in canon. See, this version of Sasuke is so power hungry that he does not care what he has to do in order to achieve that power. And so the second that Orochimaru offers Sasuke a way for him to get power, he would willingly let himself get bit by the curse mark, as well as be pretty much taken by Orochimaru, meaning that Sasuke willingly is like leaving the village. However, before he leaves, he would even kill Sakura for her silence. Here's how the thing would go down. They would end up arriving into the forest, as Sasuke would look towards Sakura and be like, you ready? Sakura would be like, yeah, Sasuke. As she'd be like, with you, I'm ready for anything. Sasuke would be like, good, don't hold me back. As Sakura would just look down at the ground, but she would continue running on top of trees. Now, Sasuke would basically end up, you know, continuing to go through the forest, as, you know, Sakura would just be tailing behind him until a random ninja would appear, the random snake lady. And, you know, she would kind of end up fighting against Sakura and Sasuke, which with Sasuke being cocky, thinking that he could take her, but shortly realizing that he can't. As Orochimaru basically ends up revealing himself and who he is. Sasuke hearing that, you know, Orochimaru has power to offer him, would immediately just be like, and how would I go by attaining this power? What would I need to do? Orochimaru would immediately just have a big bright smile on his face, just thinking that This is too perfect. There's nobody here to stop me from taking Sasuke. As he would immediately look towards Sasuke and say, kill the pink-haired one. I need to be sure that your alliance is real. As Sasuke, without a second thought, simply thinking about power, would turn towards Sakura, as he would say, I have to make this sacrifice. It's nothing personal. He would immediately create a couple of hand signs, as he would say, Phoenix style, Fire Phoenix Jutsu, as you know, he would just shoot a gigantic phoenix right at Sakura, and it would engulf her, causing her entire body to be engulfed by flames. Sakura would fall down to the ground, and she would die. As Sasuke would basically end up looking at Orochimaru, as he would say, when do we get started? Orochimaru would proceed to tell Sasuke to follow him, as they would leave the village, and that is where What If Naruto Was an Uchiha Part 2 is going to be ending. If you guys want Part 3 to come out shortly, then you have to smash 1,000 likes. And I'm going to be dropping the 3rd installment for What If Naruto Was an Uchiha. That being said though guys, it has been your boy Zedder, and I am out.